Hello everyone and welcome back to ASP.NET Core 1.0. My name is Steve Bishop, and in this video we're going to be talking about partial views. So oftentimes we'll find ourselves writing some bit of code in our views that we discover that we might actually want to reuse somewhere else in our application. So for example, maybe we have this index view where we show the contact information as well as the company they work for, and we realize that we actually want to reuse this perhaps in another view like a list view. So rather than copy and paste the content from our index view and pasting it into our list view, we want to adhere to the dry principle, or don't repeat yourself. And the partial view allows us to do that. We can create one single partial view that contains the code that we want to display in both the index view and that we want to reuse multiple times in our list view. Let's go ahead and create a partial view and see how it works. So my goal here is to take these two lines of code and place them into a partial view and then call that partial view from within my index view. Now in order to do that, I need to create my new partial view in a location where the index view can find it. That means that I can do it either here inside of my home subfolder, which is where the index view currently resides, or if you recall, I could also put it here inside of my shared folder because the shared folder is accessible to all of the views within the application. Now as it turns out, I really think that just keeping it here inside of my home subfolder is perfectly fine for this application. So I'm just going to right click on the home subfolder and select Add, New Item. Now from here, you'll notice that the Add New Item dialog box here does not give us any option for creating a partial view. Instead, we just use the same MVC view page item. But I am going to go down here to the name, and I'm going to use an underscore as the first character of the name of this partial view. And that's because if you recall, in an earlier video I was talking about the convention is, if you're going to create a view that is not called directly by the controller, then you should be, by convention, starting the name of that view with an underscore. This is not necessary, but it is convention. So we're going to do underscore, and then since this content that I'm planning on putting inside of my partial view is contact information, I figure that's probably a good name for my view. So I'm going to do contact info. And we'll select Add, and let's just get rid of all this extra commented out code. So now I'm going to take this index content from this index view, and I'm just going to cut it and paste it inside of my contact info partial view. Now you may have noticed that this code has some razor syntax that is looking for a model, and on that model needs to be a contact property and a customer property, and then there needs to be a first name, a last name, an ID, and a customer name, etc. So all of this was dictated based upon back here in our index view that we were using the home index view model. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy this model declaration and paste it right here at the top of our partial view. So now I have my model declared for this partial view. How do I then call this partial view from my index view? Well, inside of my index view, I can use the HTML helper, and on the HTML helper, there is a partial method. And the partial method, as you can see, we just simply pass in a string to the name of the partial view that we want to render. So that would be the underscore contact info. Now this alone is not going to be enough for our view to work, and that's because our partial view also needs to receive a model of type home index view model. And the solution to this is actually fairly simple. In our partial method, there's actually an overload that accepts a model as an object. So we're just going to pass in the model that was handed to our index view right along into our contact info view. So we're just taking the data that's being passed into this index view, and we're just re-encapsulating it back into our contact info view. Let's go ahead and save this and run our application. So to see our index view, I'm just going to need to fill out the form data here and click Submit. And there we go. So we have the same view that we saw before, but this time the "Hi there, Steve Bishop, your ID is 200, and the "You work for the company" is being rendered through the partial view. Now let's go back into our code and stop our application. And now what I want to do is create a new action on our home controller that's going to give us a list of different contacts and customers. Now that list of contacts and customers is going to be a view that displays for each one of those contacts and customers a new instance of this contact info partial view. So let's start out first by creating on our home controller a new public action result. And we're going to call this contact list. Now our contact list action, I'm going to need to create some dummy data. So I'm just going to do a for loop here. And I'm going to make 4 different contacts. And so for each iteration through this for loop, we're just going to do a new contact, call it new contact, and set it equal to a new instance of contact. And let's set the first name, actually let's set the ID property first equal to I. Then we're going to set the first name equal to first. And we'll concatenate I to string. And then last name, we'll do last I to string. Oops, boy, I keep doing iterator. I to string. And for our phone number, you know what? This doesn't really matter. Let's just do 555-555-5555. Okay. And then, so that's going to create a new contact with a unique value and a new unique ID for each time that we iterate through this for loop. Now let's go ahead and do a new company. Oops, company. No, you know what? Not company. Let's do customer. There we go. New customer is assigned a new instance of customer. And this is also going to have an ID equal to I. And we're going to set the company name, or customer name, excuse me. Keep mixing up customer with company. Okay, customer name is going to be customer with a space, and then we'll concatenate I to string. There we go. Okay, so that is going to iterate 4 times and create us 4 new contacts and customers. Now I need to actually put these into a view model because our contact info view is expecting a type of home index view model. So that's what I actually ultimately need to pass along to that view. Therefore, I need to, for each one of these contacts and customers, I need to create a new instance of home index view model. I'm just going to call this VM, set it to a new instance of home index view model, and we're going to set the contact equal to the new contact, and we're going to set the customer equal to the new customer. Okay, so we're creating a new instance of a home index view model, and we're assigning each one of these new contacts and customers to that new instance of the view model. And this will ultimately be passed along into the contact info partial view so that it can then render the contact information and the customer information. Now, in order for this to all work, what I do need to do is put each one of these new view models into a list. So I'm going to go outside of the for loop, and before it starts to iterate, I'm going to create a new list of type home index view model. We're going to call this contact list. We're going to set it equal to a new list of home index view model. Okay, and now after each one of the iterations here inside of my for loop, and now that I've got my view model that's got all my contact and customer information, I can go ahead and add that VM to our list of view models. So we're going to do contact list add VM, and then we'll add that view model to our list. Now I can pass this list along to the view that is going to be our contact list view. And this is going to be the overarching view that is then going to iterate through each one of the items in our list and then call that contact info partial view. So we're going to do return view, and I'm just going to call this view the same thing, the contact list view. So I don't need to specify it here as a string, but I do need to pass in the contact list as a model to the view. So we'll go ahead and save that. And now let's go ahead and create our new view inside of the home subfolder of our views. So we'll go to add, new item, MVC view. This is going to be contact list. And get rid of all this comments. Now, remember, our model here is going to be a list of home index view model. So I'm just going to copy this and paste it right there to define our model. So that's what this view can expect. And let's go ahead and do an H3 tag so that we can say that this is in fact the contact list. And now, for this list of home index view model, I need to iterate one at a time through the list and then call the contact info partial view for each new iteration of home index view model. So to do that, I'm just going to use the for each loop. And I'm going to do for each item in our model. So that means for each home index view model in our list of home index view models, we're going to call the HTML partial. And we're going to pass in as a string the underscore contact info. And we also need to pass in the model that is going to be passed into the contact info. So as part of our partial view, or partial method, excuse me, we can pass along the item which contains each individual home index view model. And just to make things a little nicer here, I'm going to add an HR tag above each one of these so that we can have a distinction between each one of our new contacts. I'm going to go ahead and save this, and let's run our application. So let's just go ahead and go to Home, Contact List. And there we have our 4 different contacts and customers. So that is how you can use a partial view to render the same content multiple times, not only in the same page, but we also continue to use it here inside of our index view. So I hope you guys learned something. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe to the channel so you can get notified whenever there's a new video that's released. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to drop me a line in the comment section below this video, and if I've got some time, I will be happy to answer it for you. And until I see you guys at the next video, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and thank you so much for watching.